From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes, brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Twin Cities sports scene. And it's another episode of 10K Takes TV. And the Minnesota Twins are the dominant storyline right now. A first-place team. They've won 4 in a row. They just broomed Kansas City down there at the K over the weekend. And what a comeback on Sunday.
Yeah, that's the story. I mean, down 6-0 going into the 8th inning. They looked like they were running on fumes. They were not hitting the baseball. And lo and behold, 5 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th. They hang on and win at 7-6. So that's a good win coming out of that road trip. They go 5-1 on the road trip through Kansas City and Detroit, or Oakland, I should say. They have Detroit in town this week. And they've got to feast on these so-called bottom feeders, and they're doing a good job of it right now.
Yeah, they're making hay while the sun is shining, and that's the kind of win that can have a carryover in the clubhouse.
Right.
The feeling being that, hey, we don't have Carlos Correa playing. We don't have Byron Buxton. We're down. The Royals are desperate to get a win and not get swept at home, and yet the Twins come back and get the victory. That's a confidence win.
Wait a minute. Carlos Correa pinch hit in the 8th inning. They pulled him off of his vacation to come out in the 8th inning and pinch hit and play D in the 8th and 9th.
I'm guessing the MLBPA, the Players Association, will protest that move later today.
Oh, my goodness. Supposedly, when you get the day off, you get the day off. Now, here's another argument that I'm sure your guy Rocco, with his planned days off or scheduled days off, is going to have to deal with. As of May 30th, now, they're only allowed to have 13 pitchers to go along with 13 position players. I think Major League Baseball really wants teams to not run a pitcher out there every, inning, a new pitcher out there. They'd like to see you have a little more depth in your rotation as far as guys going deeper, guys pitching more than 3 batters.
Good luck with that, because we've seen a sea change in that mindset. I know the LA Dodgers the other day, they didn't name a starter. They just ran a bullpen outing. Basically, they just sent a bunch of guys out there. Yeah, Tampa Bay started it.
Yeah, Tampa started
and that's where Rocco came from. Remember, he's got Ray's blood in his DNA.
I know. It's like a little league game, man. They just run anybody out there.
Pitch counts and shifts and planned days off. What a great gig, though, if you can work for the Minnesota Twins and get compensated sometimes in 7 figures, definitely 6 figures, and know that you're still going to get days off in the middle of the season.
Well, we know Byron Buxton gets those days off. He had the entire day off on Sunday, so they won without Byron Buxton. And I'll say this, that Celestino is a pretty good player, too. They've got a young guy there that, if he has to continue playing behind Byron Buxton, may not get the PT that he needs, but he's a pretty good player.
Well, that might be the upside. If you're Gilberto Celestino or Nick Gordon, because you've got a lot of these guys not in the lineup every day, you're going to get maybe more opportunities than you would, so take advantage of it. I think you're right. Celestino is solid defensively. He's hit the ball. I like what I see in Gordon. He's getting more and more chances, so the Twins appear to have some depth, and that's a good thing. You're going to need that in a long, grinding MLB season.
So if they do go to 13-13, does that magical question come back? Do we get to see Royce Lewis back in the majors, or are they going to bring somebody else in to toe the line and be the 13th position player? I see Rocco wanted a headline out there that says that he wants them to stay at 14-12. That he wants the Major League Baseball owners and the commissioner, your favorite guy, Roger Goodell, to say, Roger Goodell, did I say Roger Goodell?
That's Robbie Manfred.
Robbie Manfred, that's my favorite guy, yeah. Rob Manfred to change the rules again.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. That's way too many pitchers for my taste. I mean, I hate to say that phrase back in the day, but, once upon a time, your starter was expected to go 6 or 7. You'd hand it off to a closer, and it was Goodnight Gracie. Yeah. You didn't have that many pitchers.
Exactly.
Instead, now it's just a total pivot from what it used to be, and I get used to it. That's just the way it is, and if you're old school or you're a purist, you're probably grinding your teeth.
Yeah, it drives
into
you crazy.
Sawdust.
Wow. So Detroit comes into town, and again, here's another team that is really scuffling. I mean, they talk about bottom feeders. I mean, they have just been terrible.
And I'm a bit surprised by that. I thought, based on last season, and Detroit's a team that will spend some money. They've got A.J. Hinch, the former Astros manager, in their dugout. I thought they'd be ready to, make that next jump to, be a team in contention in the AL Central. But no, they're off to a horrible start. So it's an opportunity for the Twins to keep feasting on these cupcakes, these junk food teams. Then Kansas City is here. And then I believe they go to Detroit, is it for 5 games?
I think you're right.
So again, who's to say things can change?
Right.
But Minnesota could really get on a roll here.
Yeah. I think, and if you look at it, Detroit's problems right now have a lot to do with their veterans that are not coming through. They go out and, they bring back Jonathan Scope, the former Minnesota Twin. He's scuffling. He's not even hitting 200 right now. Miguel Cabrera's doing his part. I think he's hitting like about 275, and Miggy's been fine. But they have not gotten much help from their vets.
No, they haven't. And if you're going to go out to trendy Target Field and see the Tigers, I guess Cabrera is one reason to go. He's the most recent member of the 3K Hit Club, and probably nobody joining him anytime soon. So go out and see a future Hall of Fame hitter, and then watch the Minnesota Twins. I think they're clearly worth the price of admission. I know you can get a ticket for tonight's game for as low as $5. So it's still easy to get in. Get them now, because eventually the fans are going to jump on this bandwagon. I mean, Memorial Day's coming up. And that's, as we heard Dave St. Peter, the president, say a week ago. We make our hay between Memorial Day and Labor Day. No school, weather heats up. Well, get those tickets now, because at some point, they're going to be costly.
Well, they will. And the midweek games, especially now.
Against a team like Detroit.
This is the time to take advantage and go see the Minnesota Twins. So if you haven't done it yet, get your tickets right now. They're playing well. I mean, what's there to say, man? They're on a roll, and right now they're head and shoulders above everybody in the AL Central.
Yeah, I give them a lot of kudos. Their bullpen's been very good. Max Kepler yesterday was productive at the plate. We haven't talked about him much. And as you said, Bailey Ober, did pretty well. And then we've seen Joe Ryan at times look very good. Sonny Gray has looked good when he's healthy. So there's a lot of reasons for Twins fans to be optimistic. It's definitely a winnable division. I keep waiting for the Chicago White Sox to wake up. Exactly. To me, they are the grizzly bear in the division. But I don't think they're that much better than the Twins, and right now the record says they're not even as good as the Twins.
No, they're a defensive mess right now.
Yeah, they are.
They're a dumpster fire when it comes to defense.
They cannot play D.
No,
and you better be able to play defense.
Yeah, and your defense leads to help your pitching staff and vice versa, and
giving away outs.
Yeah, you can't do that, man. You're a pitcher on the mound, you're giving away extra outs. That's no good. So anyway, well, we're going to talk to a guy coming up here that didn't give away many extra outs. He was a pretty good defensive player.
He was a guy that stuck around in MLB because of his glove. Al Newman, the 2-time World Series champ with the Twins, will join us coming up. 10K Takes, your Twins ticket.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Welcome back. 10,000 Takes. Wally and Eric, and we're going to continue talking Twins baseball. Why not? They are on fire. And we are joined now by former Minnesota Twin, 2-time World Series champion Al Newman. And Al, I guess some people might have predicted this, but they're on a big roll, and none better than what they did on Sunday afternoon in Kansas City.
What's going on, guys? Glad to be on the show again. No, it's exciting. I'm having fun watching them. As the weather changes, it seems like the team is starting to make some headway, and now they've got a favorable part of their schedule. So it's exciting here. Spring is here. Let's go Twins, I should say. Excuse me.
And Al, the Twins so far have feasted on these cupcake teams, and that's huge, isn't it? I mean, if you can dominate the subpar clubs and then compete against the really good ones, you have a chance to win 90 plus.
Well, everybody likes sweets. So the Cupcakes are the teams that aren't as talented. Uh, yes, you're supposed to win that series 2 out of 3. Twins were very fortunate that in this part of the schedule, teams are already in transition. Kansas City, Detroit. So it's time to make some hay, and this team is playing well.
I want to hear what you think about the Twins. I don't know if you want to call it a policy or how they're handling it with Byron Buxton taking a day off every 3 days now. It sounds like he's going to play 2 out of every 3 right now. What are your thoughts on that?
He's got a well-paid job with a great vacation plan. I was shocked yesterday when Correa and Buxton were out of the lineup until late in the game. But, I always think back. Tom Kelly always told Herbeck, Gaetti, Puckett, the starters, Gladden, that they would not get a day off at home. And the Twins were coming home tomorrow, so I guess it was the perfect time to do it. But it's got to be hard to take 2 superstars out of your lineup when you have a chance to sweep a series.
Yet they do sweep away the Royals. And Detroit's here now, and then Kansas City over the weekend. What about this Royce Lewis conundrum, if you can call it that? I mean, small sample size, but he was very good at the major league level. Now a lot of people are saying, why is he at AAA? Where do you weigh in on that?
Well, I will say this. He's one of the first prospects that came up and performed well right off the get. When he got caught up, he not only did he play good defense, but he had some timely hits. But as the time was ticking for Correa to come back, he was the logical guy to go down. It was just, in my mind, I said, well, I was telling my friends, he's got to go, not because he didn't play well. Well, Correa is a perennial all-star. You've got Gordon who can play the outfield, and he had not played the outfield since his previous injury. So tough role, but I think he'll be back, and I hope it's a problem that the Twins have to try to solve. I hope Correa likes it here, and I hope this kid can come up and do a great job.
Yeah, I'm just not sure where they would put him with Correa on the roster. But by the same token, is there an opportunity, you think? I mean, they say they're going to bounce him around in St. Paul. Would that opportunity exist here? Would that be a better plan, or is that, do you think he should be playing shortstop every day down in St. Paul?
I'd keep him at shortstop every day, and if anything, move him over to third next year in spring training or introduce him to third base, because I think he's a player who can be a factor in your lineup every day. And for me, that's not moving him all over the place. It's letting him be stable and have some consistent thoughts each and every day when he comes to the ballpark.
So, in other words, he's no Al Newman. He's not going to play 4 or 5 positions in the same game.
Well, no, he's just one of those players that I think if you're a star player, you don't have to move around. And I think he's that player. I think he's one of those guys that you say, okay, you're our third baseman. You're our shortstop. A guy that you move around, obviously he's going to be on the bench more than he's on the field.
Al, this team has been resilient through the first month and a half. I mean, you've had COVID issues, including the manager, Rocco Baldelli, Byron Buxton, well documented, not playing every day. Carlos Correa's been out. They've had to mix and match with the pitching staff, Sonny Gray, guys like that. To me, that's another box they're checking that, no matter what the circumstances, they're able to overcome it.
Yeah, that's that foresight. This team, I know my era. I'm Tom Kelly. I was a guy who he moved around. Well, the Twins have 3 guys like that, 3 or 4 guys that can play around on the ball field and not hurt you and give you competitive at-bats. So Rocco and his staff have done a nice job intermingling the talent and working that pitching staff. But I tell you, I'm excited. I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but it's a good team to watch.
Well, and part of the reason they're a good team to watch, you have to admit, is that pitching staff. Bailey Ober comes in off of the injured list, pitches well on Sunday, just adding to this. I don't know. I guess I'm as surprised as anybody at how well that this pitching staff has performed, particularly the starters.
Well, he was the one guy that I've been excited about since last year when he came up and threw towards the latter part of the season, and then coming into spring training. Everybody was talking about Ryan. but I knew Ober was
Same thing.
He's a driver.
You know how? Yeah. How do I get that mixed up every now and then? You know, but it's just one of those things. He's a guy that's got leverage. His height is used to his advantage. He's got quality pitches throughout the zone. But I'm just shocked by what Archer's doing. It's not much. I expected a little more from him. But what I mean by that is his pitch count is so high. The first 3 innings, it's hard to get him to the 5th.
Yeah.
The Twins also, Al, in my opinion, geographically speaking, they're in the right division. The AL Central looks mediocre. I mean, the Chicago White Sox, we know they can be good. They haven't really shown it too much yet. Cleveland is, right there right around 500. And then the other two, Kansas City and Detroit, are bottom feeders. You look at, say, the NL West or the AL West, the Twins are in the right spot, aren't they?
Oh, most definitely. As a former player, I never concerned myself with just that. Well, you're in the worst division. No, we're in the Major League Baseball league, and it just so happens that our division teams are more competitive. You just put the spin on it how you want to, but you play where you're labeled to play, and that's how you make your team. When you create your team in spring training, it's to win your division. And then when you get to the playoffs, you try to figure out the matchups. But you play to win your division. So I've never held that against any team. If you win with 83 games, hey, you're a champ.
I know when they made the deal, I'm sure that they were thinking they were getting a starter and a reliever. But that trade of Taylor Rogers to San Diego, it is not looking very good right now. Rogers is just lighting it up for the Padres. Your thoughts in hindsight on what they've done there?
Well, at the time, I hate to talk about contracts and those type of things, but Rogers obviously was going to cost more than Paddock. Paddock was coming off an injury and hopefully needed a change. Unfortunately, right now, yes. San Diego's got the best of this trade, but Mr. Paddock, maybe down the road, maybe guys just develop and get stamina later on in their careers. He kind of was a big thing, and then he faded out. So let's see what happens.
Al, where do you land on this controversy? Josh Donaldson, Tim Anderson. Now, Tim Anderson told Sports Illustrated he views himself as a Jackie Robinson. Josh Donaldson said, hey, Jackie on the field. They had a dust up. Tony La Russa called it racist. Aaron Boone says, no, it isn't. Where do you land?
Well, the first thing I thought was anybody that compares himself to Jackie Robinson shouldn't be suspended 3 or 4 times because of stuff going on in the field. So for me, I didn't think anything of it. I would have probably jokingly called him Jackie too, but I would have never have made that comparison, no matter how good of a player he is.
Well, I appreciate the time. Hopefully the Twins keep it rolling and we have some good things to talk about all summer long.
Well, yes. Thank you guys for having me on, and go Twins.
All right.
Thanks, Al.
Twins. Thanks, Al. He is Al Newman, former Minnesota Twin and, of course, 2-time World Series champion, right here on 10,000 Takes. Stay with us.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
"10,000 Takes," Wally and Eric, and we're going to switch gears and talk some hoops now. The Timberwolves obviously long gone from the NBA's postseason, but there still are some remnants of the Timberwolves still up and running, and no less than Andrew Wiggins, who, of course, went to Golden State in that trade that brought D'Angelo Russell to Minnesota. It also gave Golden State a draft pick, a first-round lottery draft pick, which, I don't know, man. I look back at that. I didn't like that deal from the get-go insofar as I'm not a huge D'Lo guy, and you knew that. But the draft pick now and the way that Wiggins is playing, I understand. Wiggins is just in a much better situation where he doesn't have to be the guy. They got a couple the guys on Golden State with Steph Curry and with Blake Thompson, but he has really thrived, and he was great on Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, the culture there is all about winning titles with Steve Kerr and then Steph, as you said, Clay, and Draymond Green, too, who's basically a traffic cop on the floor. And, I said for a long time when Wiggins was up here and people were growing very impatient with, the lack of productivity and the perceived lack of fire, I said, you got to be patient. Sometimes it takes certain guys longer to blossom than others. Now, being in Minnesota may have been the worst spot for Andrew Wiggins. The Timberwolves are dysfunctional. Let's put aside this past year. They did show some signs of progress, but basically it's a dysfunctional organization. So, yeah, he's thriving out there with the Golden State Warriors. He had a poster dunk yesterday over to Luka that everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
And we had Gary Trent on, who used to play with the Timberwolves a few days ago, and he said what he's impressed with is Andrew Wiggins has wrapped his arms around the mindset of being a defensive stud, a lockdown guy. So the dunk gets all the attention, but remember, he's keeping Luka in check with his defensive play. So, yeah, he's low-key, but sometimes we mistake low-key for being nonchalant and not caring. That's not the case. It's just his personality, and he could get a ring, and if this continues, he could be the David Ortiz of NBA guys that used to be in Minnesota that go on elsewhere and get rings.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure that he kept Luka in check. Luka had 40 on Sunday. But he did make him work for it.
In game one, he limited him to 20. I know that.
He did. Okay. But he does make him work for it. That's for sure. And I think that, Luka needs help. That's where, Dallas is not going to win without getting some help for Luka. And obviously they're down 3-0 in that series, so they're in some deep trouble right now. But Andrew Wiggins brought to the table to Golden State what he wasn't able to do in Minnesota, and that's have somebody else carry the mail. And the way he plays defense, and like you said, the poster dunk. Looks pretty good right now, but I don't know. Every time I start thinking about that, I think, God, and D'Lo, who wilted in the postseason for the Timberwolves.
I think D'Lo is a pretty good player, but that deal, if you laid it out where you gave up Wiggins and a pick, it's tilted way toward Golden State because at the end of the day, this is about winning.
Right.
And the Warriors, barring a huge collapse, are on their way to the NBA Finals again.
No doubt.
They could win their fourth ring in the Steph Curry, Steve Kerr era. And so if Wiggins gets a ring, he's already made the All-Star team.
Right.
That's edge or advantage Golden State. And, maybe D'Lo next year and the T-Wolves continue to grow. That remains to be seen. Who knows if he's even going to be in Minnesota next season.
Good point. They might be looking for somebody else to fill that role. All right, let's switch gears here, and we'll talk some Vikings. They are in mini camp this week, and boy, I'll tell you, here we are in May. The Twins are red hot. NBA playoffs going on. Min-U, Lynx, everything else, and here we are talking Vikings in mini camp.
Yeah, and they're going to garner a ton of attention. They have a few of these. They call them OTAs or mini camps, and What I don't like about minicamp is you'll get a lot of stories coming out on TV, radio, newspaper, internet about these guys, and especially the young guys we don't know much about. But it dilutes training camp because I used to really anticipate and count down the days to late July when training camp would start because you didn't know a lot about guys, and that's when all the profiles would come out. Now it happens in May and June, and by the time you get to training camp, it's just like another version of mini camp.
It really is. It's an extended version of mini camp come July, and so then you're actually looking forward to the preseason games.
Boy.
Maybe that's what it's all about. Getting you on board for the preseason games. All right, one last topic before we head to the break here. Minnesota State Legislature looking at sports gambling. It's not going to come through. That, of course, is predictable. But the fact that they got close this time, or closer, I think that spells some good news for those who really think that it belongs in Minnesota, because it's in all the border states except for North Dakota right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. And it's 30 states overall and the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. So Minnesota, the further this goes down the road without legalized sports gambling, becomes an island, right? And if you go down to I-35 South. Once you hit the Iowa border, there's Diamond J Casino. It's right there on state line, basically, and you can do all the sports gambling you want there. I've been in it. It's a lot like Vegas. Yep. And then you have Turtle Lake over there in western Wisconsin. Same thing. Close proximity to Minnesota. These states know what they're doing. They're drawing in the Twin Cities population, or they're drawing in Mankato or wherever. So Minnesota's leaving money on the table here by not legalizing this, because the toothpaste is out of the tube. This isn't going back.
No, we're not just like the NIL and everything else in college sports.
Adjust.
Yeah, exactly. All right, one segment to go. Takes of the day coming up next. This is 10,000 Takes, your sports ticket.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
$10K Takes television. Of course, the long-awaited takes of the day. Mood meter is out. Going to find out if Wally is a cranky Yankee, an angry American. Maybe he's a giddy guardian, or perhaps even Captain Sunshine. What is it?
Captain Sunshine. Well, maybe I am kind of happy about this for the sake of the Minnesota Twins. Over the weekend, a dust-up between former Twins third baseman Josh Donaldson and Chicago White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson. And no surprise, really. Tim Anderson, he's kind of a head case. And Josh Donaldson definitely is a head case, as we had here in Minnesota. I was never a huge fan of Josh Donaldson. He has all the talent in the world, no question about that. But all you had to do was watch him when he hit a fly ball. He would jog down to first base, and he'd get a base hit. He'd jog down to first base. And it's like, gosh, you're getting paid an awful lot of money to not give max effort, mister. So I was happy when they dealt Josh Donaldson. And how good has this trade turned out to be? Dealing Josh Donaldson to the New York Yankees, getting Gary Sanchez, who has been on a roll. He's second on the team in RBI right now with 21 and 4 home runs. And they get Gio Urshela in the deal as well. Gio has been, well, he plays a great third base, first of all. And secondly, he had a huge hit on Sunday. He got the game-winning hit, a 2-out hit to bring home a couple of runs and give the Twins a win over Kansas City. I love the deal. As much as I don't like the Taylor Rogers deal that we talked about earlier in the show with Al Newman, I really like what this has done for the Twins, and I think it has helped their clubhouse. And Byron Buxton has said as much, that they're a better clubhouse. He didn't mention Josh Donaldson, but that's a fact.
And the mood meter says cranky Yankee.
Yeah, kind of
like Josh Donaldson.
Exactly.
Who's upset with Tim Anderson, and we heard Al Newman's spin on that one. Okay, well, my take of the day concerns Tampa Bay, Florida, otherwise known as Tampa Bay. Look, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Wally, are poised to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the 6th time in 8 seasons. They want to eliminate their arch rivals in the Sunshine State, the Florida Panthers.
Just like the Wild.
Yeah. They're the antithesis of the Minnesota Wild.
Yes.
And let's take it a step further. If the Lightning go on and win the Stanley Cup, that's a three-peat. Three-peat on the shores of the Gulf of Mexico. Hockey. I mean, it's incredible. They got a head coach in John Cooper. They've got a goalie in Andrei Vasilevsky, who's been brilliant. And, of course, they have their captain, Steven Stamkos, who's probably going to be a Hall of Fame player. But the Tampa Bay Lightning are now the gold standard in the National Hockey League, especially if they win another cup.
Boy, they're going to win another cup perhaps, and your Wild still need to get out of the first round.
Oh, boy. And there's never been a cup won by the North Stars or the Wild in so-called state of hockey.
Well, let's not bleed too hard. Canada has their issues, too.
They sure do. Hockey's become a southern sport.
Exactly.
All right, let's FedEx out those thank yous to our great crew who made this possible behind the scenes, Rocky and Al Newman. For Wally, I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your sports ticket.